Alright, update. It is now 12:16 a.m. and we are at 70%. Still doing well. It's been a little less than 2 hours since the last check at 10:22 p.m. where we were at 79%. So it's about 10:15, I guess, when we're at 80. It's 12:15, we're at 70, so that's been about 2 hours. That's good. That means we should be about 60, somewhere around 2:15 a.m. 50 at 4:15, 40 at 6:15, 30 at 8:15, and 20 at 10:15, which means we should make it to 10:30, and we should be able to get enough solar to bring it back up before the grid kicks in at 10%. And we shouldn't be down to 10% until 12:15 in the afternoon, according to this schedule, if nothing changes with our usage overnight. And by the time we hit the 10 o'clock hour in the morning, we should be getting enough solar to make a difference, so it should slow down the discharge rate. So by 12:15 p.m., we shouldn't be down to that 10% because we should have enough solar to bring us back up from the 20% at 10:15 a.m. So we will continue to monitor this. Doing good so far. This is our overnight check to see if we have the capacity to make it through the night with 1 AC500 and 2 B300Ss. Good morning. We officially have enough capacity to make it through the night. We have 45% at 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun is going to rise in the next 10 to 12 minutes. And I've got to get up and go put the panels back out. So I just wanted to document that it is now 7:05 a.m. We are at 44%, which was my estimate that we will be. Actually, it's better than the estimate. We were at basically 80% at 8 something, 70% at 10:22, almost 10:30, 60%, 61, at about 12:15. Was still at 61 or 62%. Hadn't even gone down to 60 yet. About 2:15. We're at 52%. So it was like 2% up. I wasn't awake at 4. And I wasn't awake at 6. So we're at 44%. So 45% at 7 o'clock this morning. And that's great. So from 6 p.m. last night at 100%, 13 hours later, we're at 45%. So that is excellent. Means we made it through the night. We did not run the washer or anything extra like that. We just ran the essentials. But that is good to know. So let me go put out the panels. The first set is out, 3 SP200s. It's easy to put them exactly in the same spot because the snow had the place where their kickstands were kind of plotted out. So it's really easy to put them back. They're all plugged up. Currently we are getting 0 PV input, but it's 7:22. The sun is up, but it's not really back here. But we will get a trickle soon here, probably about 7:30. So I'm gonna get the second set out and we'll go from there. Got the second set up. It's not exactly in the same spot because I moved that one over to the left a little bit. But this one is definitely filling in holes where the kickstands were for one or both of these. And the back row is where it was. That first one may not be exactly where it was, but the other two are. So let's see if we're getting anything. Alright, so it is now, the fan's on, 7:36. We're not getting any PV. It's not even recognizing that we're hooked up yet. 7.4 volts from the SP200s. So it's recognizing that they're hooked up at 7.4 volts. That's nowhere near the 60 volts that's connected. We're not getting any wattage at all. And the SP350s are not even being recognized at the moment. Now yesterday we were getting a trickle, 7 watts, 6 watts, that sort of thing. So I'm really not sure problem is, and I know yesterday about 3:30 this was showing 0 voltage for my 350s and 11 volts for the 200s. So I'm hoping there's nothing wrong with any of them. The panels were working just fine yesterday afternoon when I was outside, so hopefully everything's good and we'll just keep checking on them. I did want to show that this is the state of charge of battery 2. It's the state of charge of battery 3. Battery 2 is the bottom battery, and battery 3 is the top battery. It's very interesting. I hooked them up just like I'm supposed to, just like it says in the manual, and it shows up as 2 and 3 for the first 2 batteries. Thought it would be 2 and then 1. But it seems to charge battery 2 first, and it seems to discharge battery 3 first. So just so you're aware of that concept, it charges the charges the lower number battery first and discharges the higher number batteries first. So, but 40 and 46 was it? Yeah, 40 and 46 translates to 43% overall. We're doing well, and keep you posted when we start getting some PV input here. All right, update. The time is now 8:21. We're still at 41%, which is awesome. We haven't gotten down to 40% yet. But I figured out what happened with the solar input. The reason I was getting 0 voltage on my 350s was because one of the cords was disconnected. Didn't realize that. So it was disconnected up here, luckily, so I didn't have to go back outside and check. One of the kids must have pulled on the cords that are outside, so it's finally up and running. And then I just made sure that the connections up here were tight for all of the other ones. And as you can see, the voltage on the 200s is even going up. Haven't gotten any wattage from the 200s yet, but we are definitely getting wattage from the 350s. 18 watts, not a lot, but it's something. So it would have started an hour ago if I had realized, but I did not even check the connections up here. Something made me just get up and do it now. So this is good. We are now getting some solar input. Remember, I have my PV priority set for 10%, so the grid will not start running unless we are at 10%, but you do see it there. That means it is still connected and ready. It's in standby mode, but it's not coming in because it is on PV priority. And that's because I want to make sure that we could make it through the night And we did, praise God. And also that I get to use solar. That's my preference. The grid is really the backup for me. So this is our off-grid journey with AC500. We are down to 40%. We just got down to 40% here at 8:23 a.m. That's not bad. From 6:05 p.m. last night at 100%, we've lost 60%, and we're at almost 8:30 this morning. So that is 14 hours. We made it 14 hours on 60% of our capacity. And that is much better outcome than what we had when we actually had the 14-hour power outage, and we had to try to, we didn't lose anything. Our food didn't spoil because we did have the AC200P, the EB3A, and the EB70. So between getting those charged up, just going and getting them charged up and charging up the 200P in our vehicle, which we sat out there for hours, but we were warm in the car, and we were able to charge that up via the 12 volt. I don't have the AC charger for the 200P. So when it does plug into this system, it will have to plug into one of these lower batteries, unless it can plug into the 24 volt that's in the top here, and I'm not sure if it's able to do that. I might just look that information up. Just so I know how we can keep everything charged up here, because that is still a backup for us. I would only plug it in to charge during our peak solar hours. I'm also waiting for our peak solar hours to do some laundry and things like that. So we got to learn to change the way that we do things, conserve our energy and resources, and figure out how to live off-grid in the city. All right. Check in with you soon. All right, so we are just checking in. It is about 10:28 a.m. We are at 35%, which is excellent. We were at 45% at 7 o'clock this morning. So just about 3.5 hours later, we've only lost 10%, because we do have some PV coming in. We're still getting voltage, and we're actually getting up to the correct voltage. Well, not really, because we need 60 volts from the 3 SP200 solar panels, but we're getting some voltage from them, but no wattage. We're getting voltage and wattage from the SP350 solar panels, so things are looking good there. We've just been getting between 30 and 40 some watts, not a whole lot of wattage. It's still early, but in this hour, in the 10 o'clock a.m. hour, we should start to get some better wattage. It's also supposed to be sunny for a couple of hours today. It looks like it's only supposed to be sunny from about 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. Yeah, but if we can get some great sun during those hours and get somewhere like 600 watts, then we will be in pretty good shape. To fill these, let's see, we're at 6,144 watt hours, but we still have 35% of them. So that's what, 600 times 3, and then 300. So if we just take the 600 instead of the 614.4, but let's just do the 600 and the 300. So that'll be 1,800 plus 300, that's 2,100. So 2,100 watts, if we get, that's about how much we still have. Like right now, we still have about 2,100 watts, a little more than that. So to get it back up to 61, we need about 4,000 watts to fill that capacity back up to 100%. And if we can get 600 watts an hour, it will take us quite a few hours to get up there. But if we're over 600, we'll have 1,300 watts of solar panels out there, and we'll see what we can get and see if we can get back up to 100. I know we're not going to get 1,300 watts of solar coming in. That would be excellent, but I know that's not what we're going to get. But if we can get somewhere around half of that at 650 watts, that's $650 an hour, 1,300 for 2 hours, 2,600 for 4 hours, 3,900. Wait, what did I say? Yeah, 3,900 for 5 hours. So we would get there. It would take us about 5 hours to get this all charged up at 650 watts an hour. So if we can get some really good wattage for the 4 hours, 5 hours, we may see it get back to 100. And that's really what we need. The grid is not scheduled to charge unless it goes below 10%. It hasn't done that. And even if we don't make it all the way back up to 100, considering that we had 45% at 7 o'clock this morning and 35% at 10:30, when our solar is starting to pick up, we really need to see where we're going to be when the solar really starts to pick up and we stop going down. We stop discharging and start to charge. Because it did slow down the discharging, but it didn't eliminate the discharging. So that's what we need to see what we can do. We want to get enough solar that we are no longer declining with our percentage, but instead increasing our percentage. Or instead of decreasing, we're going to increase our percentage. So that's what we're looking to do, but we're still in very good shape. We did run it overnight, and this is excellent. So I'll keep you posted. All right, so checking in. It is 11:47 a.m. We're down to 30%. So it's very obvious that it was slowed down, the discharging. We're finally at 100 and some watts coming from PV. We just got there. I hadn't broken 100 all this time. I had to take one of the SP200s off just to get it to go above 7 volts and get any wattage. It wasn't getting anything. And then it got about 20, 23. It's still only getting 30 some watts. And I still have 2 panels out there. That's 400 watts worth of panels. The SP350s, I've been getting 50 some watts. I had finally gotten up to 60 watts from those. And just the time it took me to come in, it shot up by 100 watts. So I'm thinking one of the panels is not really giving me what I want from it, and the other one is. Much like the SP200s. I am not sure what's going on with that. But that second panel is starting to get some sun, that second SP350. So as you can see, it shot up by a whole 120 watts. Now that that second panel is getting some sun. We'll see what happens when the second SP200 panel starts to get some real sun. But we should be, you know, we should be way above 200 and something watts here, because there is still 1,100 watts worth of panels out there. So 1,100 watts worth of panels, and we're getting 200 and something watts. But we should at least start to see an increase in the percentage of capacity, because we are discharging at a lower wattage than we are charging. So finally, this is lower than this, and we should see this start to go up. That's what we're looking for. So it's just shy of noon here, about 10 minutes to noon, and we're just getting here. We're just getting to where we need to be. And I went out and changed the configuration right before this just to get what we're getting. So hopefully we'll get some good wattage. We'll see how this thing goes. All right. And I'll check in a little bit. All right, just checking in. time is 3:53 p.m. We were getting about 41 watts at about 3:30. We're now getting somewhere around 22 watts. We're down to 23%. The grid still has not kicked in. It's not supposed to kick in until 10%. But it does kick in every now and then, I see. You saw that 52 watts show up. I'm not sure what that is about. Maybe because of the load and how much more the load is than the watts coming in. We only have 23 watts of solar coming in. We still have we just have the 4 panels today. 2 SP200s and 2 SP350s out there. For some reason, we weren't getting very good solar today. I had to disconnect one of the SP200s. It wasn't even giving us any voltage. I literally did one panel at a time to see which one was giving voltage and which one was not. And it was one of the panels wasn't giving us anything. I didn't disconnect the 2 SP350s to see which was better, but it was obvious the one that was getting the most sun for the longest period of time was giving us less wattage than the one that got the latter amount of sun. So I will definitely need to keep track of which is which and put them in the correct order and things like that. So it's disappointing. The SP200s I've had for 2 years now. The SP350s I may have had for 1 year. Yeah, I got the first set in 2020. I got the second set just this past year. Might have been this year, actually. I'm not sure. But as you can see, we still get a little bit of wattage there. We did make it all the way back to this time of day. It isn't 6 o'clock yet, so it hasn't been 24 hours. But we were able to maintain all this time. So I would think we're still at 23% and it's almost 4 o'clock. It does use about 10% for somewhere between 1 hour, 1 3/4 hours and 2 hours. So we could easily get to 6 o'clock p.m. And not be at 0 yet. That may be when the grid kicks on, is 6 o'clock p.m. Which is after peak hours, so it won't be a problem. And then we'll get all the way charged back up, and it shouldn't even come back on again until tomorrow around that time if we don't get enough solar. So basically we need a larger solar array. We need some more efficient panels. I live in the city, so and I have concerns with getting the rigid panels, the ones that you would just leave outside. I do like the portable ones because I can fold them up and bring them back in the house. It's kind of like if you're camping or living in an RV and you're out in the woods, you don't just want to leave your things outside, unsupervised or unattended. So it's kind of that type of situation. I just don't feel comfortable leaving things outside overnight. So that's just the bottom line for me, living off grid in the city. So I like the portable panels because I can fold them up and put them away. But I do need more efficiency. I like the Bluetti panels. A lot of people have complained about them. I've gotten very decent solar from them. And what I think is decent probably should be a little better. I have like I said, 1,300 watts worth of solar panels. And I will say the highest I've seen getting solar from them is just over 50% for the total array. It was a real quick flash of the 600 and some that was yesterday. These days aren't really, really sunny for us right now. So I would have to see if I could get better results, because I usually get better results like in the summer. But we're trying to make it through the winter here. So this is a different experience. I haven't done this through the winter. So we're going to see how this goes. I did order another SP350. It still hasn't shipped. Waiting for that to happen. And once that happens, then we will see you know, how that works out. I also know that I could put the SP200s on one of the batteries, or probably just one of the batteries, because I need extension cables to get them all the way to where they need to go. So I probably wouldn't do one panel on each battery. I would probably do both panels on one battery. And then I could get some different panels for the main unit. I do have the SP350s, and you can't mix them with anything, so I've just stayed with the SP350s. But for that's on DC2, but for DC1 I could very well get some PV panels even. I wanted the PV400s, see how those work. Not sure if they're as sturdy as the SP panels. They have been pretty sturdy and really good for me. They've worked quite well. They have been out in the rain, and have been out in snow, and have been out in the dew and the frost, and they have been working really great for me. So that also could be why this one panel isn't working anymore. I don't know, but it was one of the best working ones. So that is my update. It is 4 o'clock, so I will check in with you later. Thanks for watching our off-grid journey with AC500, and hope to see you tomorrow. All right, checking in. I know I just checked in about a half hour ago, but we are now at 4:30 p.m. As you can see, our solar has ceased to come in. Our grid has not kicked on yet because we are still at 21%. So we're doing a magnificent job with our home solar grid here. This is what we like to call it, our off-grid journey with AC500. But this is our home solar grid. I might just rename it, right? Instead of just our off-grid journey, but we're creating our own grid. So we have a home solar grid, and we are not getting solar anymore. So that's the rest of the day, no more solar. We're only at 21%. Of course, we can't make it all the way back until tomorrow morning with 21%, but we didn't start this journey tonight or over the day until about 6:05 p.m. yesterday, because we had just gotten the second B300S. We hooked it up, and then we needed to charge it all the way up to 100%. So the grid will come on once this goes down to 10%. That's what I want to try to track, is how long it's going to take us to get to 10%. We want to see if we will make it 24 hours. Now, these batteries are guaranteed at 3,500 cycles, at least up to 80%. So I really should look at this 20% mark, because this is where if it wasn't charging up to 100% anymore and only charging up to 80, this is where we would be. As long as it still discharges the same, it doesn't start to discharge faster or have any other repercussions. If everything works the same over the life cycle of the battery, we would be just about at zero for the 80%. So we really want to like kind of focus on that 80% and see how long the 80% lasts. But we are doing really, really well, in my opinion. Not sure what is in the way there. Sorry, something is in the way of the camera. It's probably some type of lint or hair. Can't seem to find it. Anyways, let me pause. Okay, we were able to clear that. So again, we're at 21%. It's not really bad. So that was 22.5 hours ago. Yeah, we only have an hour and a half left to make it 24 hours. And we did do a little bit of washing. I'm not finished with this second load. We did one load. The dryer is not on our home solar grid as of yet. It's still on the regular grid, the house grid. The house grid is basically the grid. But our home solar grid, our off-grid, is just a lot of other things. So we're still working on getting our last bedroom on the home solar grid. We are also working on getting the rest of the kitchen on our home solar grid. You say off grid, but it's really still a grid. It's just a grid that we're creating. We have to increase our solar array. So we're getting more in the winter here in the north. Very, very tough to get enough solar. It was able to hold it, I believe, at 30% for all those hours. But it wasn't able to charge it up. It did not increase the capacity. It just maintained the capacity. And I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if it has something to do with our PV priority or anything like that, but we'll figure this thing out. Maybe we'll have to do the standard UPS, and we have to literally unplug the grid to get those numbers like we got yesterday, because we had great numbers yesterday, but it was unplugged from the grid completely, and it was just on standard UPS and it was charging. So these are the things that we are trying to figure out while we're doing this. Again, we still have another hour and 24 minutes, or actually still an hour and a half before we hit 24 hours. We're at 21%. Let's see if the grid kicks in before or after our 24-hour time. All right, we are on our off-grid journey with AC500 day 3. And starting on day 2 at about 6:05 p.m., we decided to see if we go 24 hours, which we talked about saying if we could do that once we got our second B300S, and we got it yesterday. And once we got it all set up and got it to 100%, it was about 6:05 p.m. It is now, what time is it? It is 6:13 p.m. the next day. And I am happy to say that we still have 15%. So we haven't even gotten all the way down to the 10% for the grid to come on and charge it back up to 100. So going 24 hours from today till tomorrow, we'll start whenever we get to 100 tonight, and I will make sure to note that for you. But as of right now, this is exciting that we are at 15% at almost 6:15 in the evening, and that is 10 minutes after 24 hours has been hit. This is fantastic. I'm really excited. That means we have the capacity that we need for the load that we've been carrying. And I did do 2 loads of laundry. Just a reminder that everything is not on our home solar grid. This is what I'm calling it. This is our home solar grid, as opposed to the house grid, which is the one that's plugged into the public grid, right? Our public utilities. So this is our private grid. You can call it our private grid or our home solar grid. Both of those things are synonymous with this grid that we are building and creating here. So I'm really excited that we are able to make it 24 hours plus, because at this rate, we are doing very well. Now, like I said, just a reminder, these are basically the essentials. We are missing like our cooking appliances. Our microwave is not on here. Our kitchen light is not on here. So there are a couple things in the kitchen, basically just the fridge and the freezer out of the kitchen. Nothing else from the kitchen is on this private grid. Our living room, our den is on this grid. Our bedrooms upstairs, all except for one, is on this. And our little washer, our Wonder washer, is on here. Our dryer is not on here. The lights in the bathroom, etc., are not on here. And we're using solar lanterns tonight because we decided to save some energy that way. We basically just want to learn to live a more resourceful life and use our energy as wisely as we can. So that's what we've got going on tonight. I just wanted to make that announcement. Again, I will check in when the grid kicks in at 10%. So that is our next milestone, is when will we get down to 10%, and the grid has to kick in and get us back up to 100%. So stay tuned for that. Alrighty, checking in. It is now 7:06 p.m. We are now at 25 hours. We started at 6:05 p.m. yesterday, or somewhere around 6:05 p.m. It was 6:05 before I started the recording, but around this time yesterday, or around an hour earlier than this time yesterday, we started, and we are down to 11% now. The grid still has not kicked in. It's supposed to kick in at 10%. It's very exciting. Very exciting to have the proper amount of capacity to run the essential services we need in our household. Of course, minus our cooking appliances. We do need cooking appliances, but we do have some things that we can use in place of our high energy drawing cooking appliances. We have an induction cooktop and an air fry grill combo, a roaster oven, microwave, those types of things. But we're doing really, really well. Really well here. I don't know when that 1% is going to go down and the grid is going to kick in, but we will see. All right, so finally we are at 7:15, and as you can see, we are grid charging because we made it down to 10%. So we could very well go at least another hour. So we have about 26 hours of capacity down to zero. And that, of course, does not include our 2,984 watts on our other 3 generators that we're kind of just using as backup. Well, yeah, kind of as backup. So that gives us a decent amount of capacity. So I'm really pleased with this. We made it all the way from 6:05 p.m. yesterday to about 7:10 p.m. today. So we made it about 25 hours, and we still have 10% left. But now we are grid charging. I'm not sure why it's only charging 200 and something watts. That's what confuses me. So I feel like I need to put it back on standard UPS so that we charge enough to get back up to 100. So I am going to make that adjustment because I'm really not sure why it is only charging a little. So we're going to switch to standard UPS. Actually, I'm wondering if I go back to customized. Let's do this. So we have our SOC, our state of charge. Our low is 10%. Our high is 100. All right. We have grid charge status enabled, time control status enabled. So let's look at our time settings. We're going to change these phases. So we're not going to charge our period 1. We're going to reset all of this. So yes, let's reset our settings. So working mode 1 is going to be that we need to charge starting at, well, tomorrow it'll be 8, right? It'll be 8 p.m. So I'm going to start at 8. And we're going to, no, that's 8 in the morning. So we want it at 20. And we want to end at 100. So that's what I'm trying. This is the charge mode. You know what, I just don't even, and this is why I said we should just use standard UPS right now. We changed it to standard UPS. Let's get back to our home screen and let it like really charge. Let it charge all the way back up to 100. And then once it gets to 100, then we will change it back to PV priority for tomorrow. So I think that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna get this back up to 100. So PV priority is interesting to me, how it doesn't cause this, once it hits that 10%, to just charge it all the way back up to 100. It's weird. So that is something we may need to think about, because I was under the impression that it would hit the low and then charge it all the way back up to the high. But it wasn't doing that yesterday, so I'm thinking it won't do that today. So I'm gonna put it on standard UPS. It's gonna charge up to 100%. Once it gets up to 100, then we'll be good. Now charging at 1600 watts, while discharging just under 200, gives us about a 1500 watt charge, which means it shouldn't take us more than 2 hours. It shouldn't. Now I have to go pick up some food for Thanksgiving, so this should be done when I get back. All right, just checking in. It's been 2 hours. We're still charging at full grid charge, and we are at 49%. So we only went down to 10% about 7:15, around that time. I had to turn the regular UPS back on, and basically we've gone up 40% in the last 2 hours. So if we're doing relatively 20% per hour, that's quite a bit, because that's still like, wait, let's see. 10% is 614.4, so 20% is 1228.8. Okay, so that's 1228.8 watt hours that we've charged up, right? That's 20%. So we're at 50% now, and if we're doing 20% an hour, that means that we have another 2.5 hours to go. And that would mean it took about 4.5 hours, which would mean 5 full hours. 5 full hours from 0 to 100, somewhere around there. That's the relative amount of time it would take. And that's just on grid charging, and that's just the AC adapter that came with it in the packaging. I did not purchase one of the AC chargers that would charge at a higher rate. This is just my regular wall socket, 15 amp wall socket in my house. So I'm not trying to blow any fuses. I'm not trying to flip any circuits or anything like that. So this is what we've got, and that's not bad. 5 hours isn't bad for me. So if we have another 2.5 hours to go, and it's 9:15, that takes us to 9:45, that's the half, and then it'll take us 10 and 11:45. So somewhere around 11:45, between 11:45 and midnight tonight, we will be at 100%. We will then change the UPS back to PV priority, and at that point we will allow this to discharge until tomorrow night, or until it gets down to 10% again. And once it gets down to 10%, we'll change it back to standard UPS and get back up to 100. What I would like to see Bluetti do is I would like to see them update this so that it can do that on its own. Because if I do PV priority and I don't want it to drop below 10%, that should not mean when the grid comes on, it's going to keep it at 10%. Like, I don't want it to stay at 10%. I want it to come back up to 100 and then go back to PV priority down to 10%, which is what I expected it to do. But it didn't. And I thought I could do a timed thing with PV priority, but there really is no combination available that would say, basically, I don't want it to drop below a certain percentage. And if it drops to that percentage, I want the grid to charge it back up to 100 and then stop charging and allow PV priority at that point. So if they could come up with something like that, that would be great. Until then, this is what we got. I'll check in with you. You know, I was thinking about this whole thing. I don't know if I can set it now or if I could. So what I want to do is I'm going to do the working mode, customize UPS. I'm going to say yes. Grid charging enabled, time control status. So what I'm going to do is my SOC, got it at 10% to 100. But I also want to do this time setting, and I'm going to do working mode. We're going to charge from 6 o'clock, so it's going to be 18 hour, and no, not 18, 7:30, sorry, 7:30, so that's 19:30. Oh, that's going to be 19, and this is going to be 30, right? And it's going to end at actually, I'm going to do, okay, so I'm going to do 19:00 or 19:15, because that's what we had today, 19:15 till 23:45. And we're just going to let that be what it is. So now it should charge fully. It's going to charge fully because I needed to charge all the way down, or charge all the way up, I mean. And it's supposed to take another 2.5 hours, which should get us to about 11:45. So this should get us all the way there. And then we'll start the new day like fresh, you know what I mean? So I think I'm still going to give myself a little bit of leverage there. So I'm going to do that time status, and I'm going to do 59 and just let it charge all the way. You know what I mean? So it'll be all the way charged up. And then at midnight, we start the new day, and we'll know it'll go from midnight to midnight. Because I don't want it to start charging during the daylight, and this would still kind of work in the summer. Like in the summer, daylight lasts until 8:30, 9 o'clock sometimes, but I think starting at like 7:15 to make sure it's all the way charged up. I mean, by the summer, I'm hoping to have a larger system. I'm hoping to have a larger array. I'm hoping to not need to grid charge as much, but I think this is a good idea to give enough. So that 10% is still going to be my low, and then it does have a charging mode so that it will charge up. So you see it's still charging at full charge because this is charging mode right now. And I don't have a discharging mode. I just left it that it's only charging at this time. So it should stop charging at 11:59, and I will keep you posted. Hey guys, just an update at the end of the night. It is now 11:53 p.m. We made it to 100%. We started charging about 7:15 or so, and it is set on charging. We have the customized UPS, and the time to charge is from 7:15 p.m. till 11:59 p.m. to keep it at 100%. So if it decides to drop a little low within the next 6.5 minutes, it will, or 5.5 minutes, it will, the grid will still come back on and charge it a little. Other than that, it will not charge. After this point from the grid, it will go strictly on the batteries, which is how we like it. So we charge during the off-peak hours, from 7:15 until 11:59, and we'll be living off the batteries until tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. We also have PV priority set at 10%. So if it does drop down to 10% for any reason, if we just happen to drain or have some really high loads or anything on there, then it will kick in. As you can see, the grid is still in there. It's kind of in the mix until 11:59. And then it should be totally out of the mix until tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. The PV load will be back tomorrow. We'll put those back out in the daytime and get some solar in here, and hopefully we'll have a better day with the solar. I didn't get to keep track of it as much. And tomorrow I will be cooking for Thanksgiving, so I can't say that from 12 to 3 I'm going to really be able to watch it, or from 10 to 3, but hopefully we'll have a better solar coming in tomorrow. That also kind of wanes off the discharging for at least 4 hours a day. So we know we have the capacity. We're happy about that. Got back up to 100. We're happy about that. And everything is looking good. So I'll keep you posted and see you tomorrow. This is our off-grid journey with Bluetti AC500. And this is the end of day 3.